Who is the most spoiled person you know and why? My brother. He has this notion that because he is adopted our parents owe him forever. He treats them like garbage and they do all they can to help him and his son. He's a 27-year-old man-child and I can't stand him. And in case anyone's curious, I'm adopted too, though we're not related by blood. I love my parents and just see them as normal parents. Girl I went to college whose parents paid her a salary which was more than I earned in my job. She then used to tell her parents she needed extra money for course books and go spend it on booze. Her parents didn't want her to work because it would interfere with her studies. She got fricked up so much on booze and drugs that she ended up dropping out of college and then they bought her a flat to live in. I've worked at a private school in the UK this past year, and I have a few examples of kids just having no idea they were spoiled, which just made it worse. Minus 16 years old comes into school on Monday complaining how unfair it was that his dad grounded him for crashing their plane. I asked him how bad it was, and he said it was only £40,000 worth of damage, which his dad can afford, so what's the problem? My jaw dropped. Another 16 years old asks me what I'm doing for the summer break. I tell him working mainly, with perhaps a weekend to visit a few friends. He could not wrap his head around why I wasn't traveling, going on holiday etc. Then followed to go on about how he'd spend his summer at his private lake, saving the best one for last folks. On his birthday, one of the 18-year-old students received a chain of hotels, a fully operating 5 chain that would all be officially owned under his name. The nerve of this kid to complain it wasn't what he wanted made me really resent working there for a while. My cousins. My aunt and uncle can never say no to them and they have now drained my grandmother's small fortune. My other uncle contributed to that as well, but now my grandmother is selling her place and moving to a smaller one because of how much money she has had to give to that side of the family. I love them but they are just spoiled as can be. This kid I went to high school with got a Porsche for his 16th birthday. Keep in mind 16 in my state is when you can get a permit, so he didn't even have a license. He got a new one later in high school after backing out into a tree. He basically was handed admission to an Ivy League school because his grandparents had donated a building. During one of my substitute teaching assignments, I had the joy of meeting the most spoiled teenager I had ever encountered before or since. Conrad was spoiled in a way only children of 2 rich divorced parents can be. Conrad was an only child whose parents used material goods and money to buy his affection. On the first day of this particular sub-job, Conrad informed me he didn't have to do his work. He would just get his father to pay the teacher a crapload of money and he would get an A. I stated I didn't care what he did as long as he did not disturb his classmates and wrote his comments in my sub-notes. He was placated for the day and dinked around on his cell phone until the period ended. The second day really showed Conrad's true colors. The class was supposed to do group work and he was working with a group of his friends. He spent the work time continuously talking about how much he hated his mom because she bought him a used 2013 Ford Focus for his 16th birthday, instead of a brand new BMW that he wanted. I made a comment that I would love if my parent gifted me a fairly new used vehicle. To which he commented, "Of course you would. You're a teacher and poor." I told him to get back to work and if I caught him off task again, he would need to work alone. He was fine after that. The third and final day of my assignment, Conrad was in an absolute tizzy about something his mother had done. Probably the BMW thing. I didn't care. What I did care about was that he kept commenting on how he was going to sabotage his mother's plane so that B would fall out of the sky and die. I told him to rein in those comments as they were not appropriate for school and could get him in serious trouble. I left him with his group to continue work from the previous day. Approximately 5 minutes later, I hear nervous laughter coming from Conrad's group. He has his phone out and is showing the group something on it. I walked over and asked to see what was causing such a fuss. Conrad, the idiot, showed me his Snapchat story, which consisted of a picture he took of his mother with an emoji gun pointed at her head and the text shoot this B. I got to send him to the office, talk to the school social worker and the school resource officer, all because this kid didn't get a BMW and his parents couldn't be asked to show him some actual love and affection for his entire life. My brother's girlfriend's daughter screams whenever she can't have what she wants. They give her what she wants so she'll stop screaming. A girl I have known most of my life. Her parents treat her like she is the Queen of England or something. Growing up, if there was a new toy out that she wanted, her parents bought her 5, and if possible, in each color, because she would break her toys. She had 2 3-bedrooms. One was big enough to be a studio apartment alone. Where did she sleep? Her parents' bedroom. If she wanted to go somewhere, like Disney World, her parents dropped everything to start planning that vacation. When she started driving, she had 3 new cars in 8 months. Not because she crashed them or they broke down, but because she just had to have the newest model. I think she is on her 15th car now. Never has had a job. Her parents pay for her and now her son. In school, she had a tutor. I say it in quotes because the tutor just did her homework for her. I'm surprised she can even read and write, honestly. Although, reading her Facebook statuses shows me she can't write much better than my 9-year-old. The worst part was, if she didn't like someone, she had her parents do their best to try to ruin that person's life. She got her 7th grade teacher fired, claiming he was being inappropriate with her. He wasn't. He never was in a room with her alone. He was a kind, old man, but he didn't put up with her not doing her homework. He failed her in a few subjects. He was never charged or arrested or anything. No legal trouble from it, but the school did force him into retirement because they were scared. Just gotta point out that the Queen of England repaired and drove trucks during World War II. There was a kid in my fraternity whose parents were literally billionaires. We actually had a couple of them, but this kid was just dumb rich. For making the dean's list one semester, his parents let him get any car he wanted under $100,000. I am not making this up. Kid got peed because the package he wanted on his Jaguar F-Type made it over $100K and his parents said fine after enough protest. At least I got to drive it sometimes though. Sick car. There's a little crap of a kid next door. Parents are those new age parents. Real hands-on parenting. No one is better than Dylan. He's 11 and has a PS4, Xbox One, drum kit, guitar, and his parents for the last 5 years have sent him to Barcelona for a football camp. He walks around like Lord Muck, has one of those resting smug faces. I hate him. I'm a 25-year-old male. Guy from my old school was gifted by his parents a $24,000 new sport car. 2 months later he totaled it while texting. His parents bought him a new SUV same price. Crashed it next month. Parents bought him a used Porsche for $2,000. He ranted for months. Let me tell you about Rebecca, single mom who is a lawyer for a big phone company. Rebecca is the youngest child with a large gap, so she's basically an only child. Here are a few things that happened in the year we were friends. Mom would always buy her Cadillacs and she would wreck them within 6-8 months. Has worked at 2 different locations of the chain restaurant we worked at together. Has been fired from one twice and the other, where we met, 4 times. For reason below. Shows up to work 2-3 hours late and is never in uniform, so she spends an hour in the restroom getting ready. This happened more frequently than her actually showing up on time. Only reason she even worked to begin with was her mom wouldn't pay for her boob job. She did earn enough to get them and they are not very good. After she's been fired once, she'll wait until there are new managers at the store. High turnover rate. Apply and be hired again. Rebecca is in college getting her undergrad. She's currently 24, but cannot pass most of her undergrad classes. She has stated multiple times to multiple people that she expects the university she attends to pay for her doctorate degree that she will complete by the time she is 26. A doctorate degree in 2 years without being able to pass undergrad classes? Okay. Emailed the same university, literally emailed university at email address to request them to buy a multi-million-dollar mansion for her so she can start an orphanage. She sent links of said mansion with the email. When she didn't get any results from the university, she emailed Harvard wanting to apply. She posted the email on Snapchat and the first line reads something like, "I know I don't have the best grades, but I would be a great addition to the community." Harvard has not responded. Her mom bought her a very large house in a nice neighborhood so she could get away from her controlling boyfriend. He asked her to get a job to pay her part of the bills, so she begged her mom to buy her this house. The last I heard of her is she ran her car into the boyfriend's house and then texted him saying, "Hope you like the new decor. Kiss my rich butt." He has a restraining order against her and the detective he hired said they could bury her rich butt. My half-brother, genetically, his mother was so proud that she raised him. birth to teens, without ever chastising him or punishing him. His adoptive father was meek enough to go alone with his wife's parenting. Half bro never had time out, or talks about what he had done, etc. Not once in his household. Oh, he was a douche. I was made to play with him because we were kinda the same age, and I tried to get out of it constantly. He was a terror at school from day one. Even in high school, he hadn't had enough discipline in school to make up for lost time, and did stuff like shoot sharp pencils and bits of glass at other students. Funny story, once he missed so badly that he shot himself in the eyeball. I laughed more than I should have at that. I think his teacher did too, before calling in a medical thing. My college roommate and former best friend grew up spoiled as an only child. Huge 5-bed house for the 3 of them. Fancy truck to play with bells and whistles. Daddy's credit card. When I got engaged I asked her to be my maid of honor, and she told me no because she couldn't approve of my marriage. The reason? He didn't have a bachelor's degree, so she was just certain that we couldn't be happy. 8 years, 2 kids later, I'm still poor, but very happy and have my smoking hot karate instructor husband who turned out to be a much better deal than making a spoiled princess happy. My cousin who's 8 years old, my aunt is to blame for his spoiledness. He cannot accept no for an answer. For example, every time he goes to the store with my aunt he gets a toy or a game. And if he goes with me or my grandparents or other aunt and we tell him, no you're not getting a toy game, we're just here to pick some groceries, and the boy throws the biggest tantrums. It's so embarrassing. Also because of this he always has to win whenever we play a game. Now not that I try to win all the time, but when I play a video game or board game I play it usually with his twin sister who is a bit of a drama queen but is really mellow compared to him. We were playing the Star Wars Millennium Falcon game and his sister had won and he said no I win and proceeded to knock over all hers and my pieces, to which I scolded him telling him that wasn't nice since he had upset his sister, and I told him to apologize, to which he did, but still. I've heard from his sister that his friends at school don't really like to play sports or games with him because of that. I feel bad for him, to be honest. My aunt kinda screwed him up I feel by giving in to every demand he wanted his whole life, and I'm worried how badly it'll affect him as he gets older. My friend's roommate and childhood best friend. She moved to New York after living with her family and working retail after graduating high school, and according to my friend, was handed everything to her you can imagine. If she wanted shampoo, she had her parents leave immediately and get it for her. She literally doesn't know how to contribute to a household. Her parents got takeout and junk food and ready meals so often that she legitimately didn't know what olive oil was used for. She's moving back home with them and all I can say is good riddance. She's too stupid to be breathing in precious oxygen. Not a child but an ex-friend, who probably was never really a friend but a narcissist. This girl is married to my husband's former coworker. They were in the same shop on base in the military. They weren't like super best friends, but they were in the same platoon from the schoolhouse all the way to be stationed at the same base in Cali. Anyways, that's how we all know each other. So this girl, her and the guy start dating and have a FWB situation. She gets pregnant and decides to have an abortion without telling him. She tells him after she does it and he's kinda like oh okay, like it was some big news, but they were both 19 and stupid so he let it be. Then not long after this she decides she wants a baby, gets super crazy possessive and bitchy towards him, gains about 100 pounds in 6 months, no joke. Girl went from being like 140 to dang near 250 in less than a year. She tells him she wants a baby, so hey, start trying immediately to get pregnant. He thought it was a bad idea, but for some reason she convinced him they should try. He lets her move into his barracks room because he has no roommate. This isn't allowed, mind you, and he could have got in trouble for this. He also never really mentions her weight gain. He gains about 15 pounds and heck breaks loose. She tell him that he's not allowed to eat junk food. She takes his debit card from him so he can't buy food at work. Watches him like a hawk at home, forbidding him to eat things and limiting him to a can of soda a day. Yet she's eating pie for breakfast and Taco Bell for dinner and large slushies and ice creams. Her excuse was that his job requires him to be in shape, but she doesn't need to watch herself. He buys her literally anything she wants and lets her walk all over him. If she wants to go on a trip to Disney World, a few hour drive, he takes her. If she wants to buy a new wardrobe even though they have no money, he gives her his money. There were times he would give her a limit of only 50 and she spend 150 on clothes and makeup, and he'd just kinda laugh about it and compliment her clothes. He claimed that he was the man and didn't think his wife should have to work, so he didn't mind that she was basically an unhealthy spoiled brat. She wanted a dog, so he bought her a puppy that she pretty much abused, and they gave him away a month later. That girl got that man wrapped around her finger. A girl I am friends with graduated college with an engineering degree, had a great job making tons of money, which she quit because a guy whistled at her. She worked as a waitress for 20 hours a week and got pregnant. Her parents buy her a house with the expectation that she pays them rent. She stays at this house, which is beautiful BTW, for 6 months and never pays the rent. Her baby daddy lost his job and spends his days playing video games. She gets in an argument with her parents and moves in with her BF's parents. She then gets in an argument with his parents and asks to move back home. Her parents let her move back home, rent free, utilities paid for, and they watch her baby most days. My friend, she gets whatever she wants, whether it be tickets to expensive foreign concerts, albums, photo books of music artists, a new car when she totaled her first one. I was in the car when it happened and she ran a red light like a freaking idiot, and she never does anything around the house. I was talking with her and her parents were amazed by the fact that I actually do chores around my house. My brother, after parents paid for college, he moved to Chicago to get a master's degree. Parents paid for that year, as in full tuition, room and board. Next 5 years, brother decides he needs to live in Lincoln Park because the rest of Chicago is too dangerous. Only is able to find a part-time job, so parents pay his rent. Brother goes to law school. Parents pay his tuition and all expenses for next 3 years. Year after that, unable to find a job, still lives in Lincoln Park. Parents cover all expenses. Next 7 years, still doesn't make enough money to support himself. Parents cover his expenses. He is 37 and is still supported by my folks. Even has a wife and kids. Still treats my parents' rest of family like garbage when we visit. You have been visited by the distinguished doggo of delicious delicacies. Comment tasty supper, pupper, and be blessed with delectable dishes for the next decade. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day, you magnificent people.